Hola todos, how we doing? Welcome to the weirdest and wacky set of articles we've had so far this year. Good news for you guys, there was only 4 of them, right? So we have a tight set of questions here, and I'm going to see how I can be helpful. Before I begin, I've always had a mass customization module in this class for the last umpteen million years. Now, just so you know, and we can see this when the first article was written in 97, mass customization, if we look at the various functional areas of the firm, this was really something that came out of operations. This was not something that came out of marketing. You know, when we see all the mass customization discussion in the 1990s, it was all an operations or a logistics discussion. And the poster child for mass customization in the 1990s was Dell. Dell was amazing. They would not build a computer until they had a buyer. They never kept more than 12 days worth of inventory on hand. Anytime they'd have an order come in, everything would be built, shipped, delivered within a 3 to 5 day window on the high side. Dell really was on their game up through the late 90s. And then around 2000, things started falling apart for Dell. They're still trying to pick the pieces up since, and it's 14 years later. But Dell was a fantastic mass customization company. And other companies were thinking about doing what Dell did. There was a tremendous advantages from the balance sheet perspective. They were able to buy parts and pay those parts off within a 20-day window, getting a very big discount compared to a 30 or a 60-day window. And you guys know discounts, my accounting people out there, my finance people out there, 210, net 30, or depending on what the kind of deals that they would get. And Dell was amazing. They very low inventory, and because they kept very low inventory, they always had the best specs available because they didn't have 3 months of inventory of computers that were built with hard drives that are half the storage amount that is now available in the market for a third the price. You know, Dell in the 1990s, when things were every 6 to 12 months, the chips and the hard drives would double in power at half the price. Dell really took advantage of all that. So that's kind of where mass customization is. I could never get away from mass customization because when I started seeing digital and when I started seeing co-creation of value, when I started seeing Web 2.0, when I started seeing bottom up, to me that's where this concept of mass customization comes back in. And I hope you saw some of that in the articles here. Now the second half of these articles is really, although Michael Porter wouldn't call it Internet of Things, the Internet of Things is something that's less than 18 months old, really. This is a very new trend, and the Internet of Things isn't a direct fit with this mass customization, but because there was only 2 real good articles here, I decided to mash these 2 topics up together. So let me see if I can answer some questions. What's the difference between a company that uses mass customization and a learning organization? Well, I don't think there's a difference between one versus the other. I think you need to be a learning organization in order to have mass customization. You know, we did learning organization first. That preceded our discussion of CRM. You know, because MO firm, a learning organization, and CRM, you know, it's a hell of a lot easier to do mass customization if we have a very good CRM philosophy software system at the firm. So I don't think there's a difference. I think you need to be one learning MO CRM in order to really do mass customization well. Is the term transparent a misnomer? It seems that the company is making a decision in how it provides a service to a customer without involving or informing a customer, having trouble figuring out the reason why it's called transparent. So Go to page 95, and we have a 4x4. Academics love 4x4s, 2x2s. Consultants love 2x2s. And I'm with you here. I've read this article a dozen plus times. And that transparent quadrant makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, why even talk about it? The other three make perfect sense. The collaborative is exactly what we've talked about with Dell when I opened up the video today. Cosmetic, that's just bottled water when we just change the label on the outside and the inside stays the same. Adaptive. Scion's a good example where there's like 140 different aftermarket parts to change your car. When you go to Home Depot or Lowe's and you want to buy a closet system, it's kind of standardized, but you customize it to the way you want it. That's kind of adaptive mass customization. It's off-the-shelf customization. The transparent one makes no sense. Don't worry about that. I'm with you. Can you give me an example of how companies engage in transparent customization? No, I can't because it makes no sense to me. In the example in Ritz-Carlton, the hotel monitoring what people watch on TV and what they order their food and trends in their amenities, then analyze what most popular is trendy. As a result, does the most trendy popular, I don't think this is, transparent mass customization. To me, it's almost either collaborative or adaptive. If I go to a Ritz-Carlton and I order a scotch and water with no ice in Philadelphia, and then I go to another Ritz-Carlton in San Francisco and I order scotch and water, they're going to hand it to me with no ice. To me, that's the CRM system learning my behavior and then recording it. And then the next time I ask for the same service, I get some. But is that really transparent? I don't think so. I don't know about that. I understand that businesses need to choose the correct customization strategy, and in some cases, multiple strategies. In your opinion, is one better than the other? In general, do you favor one over the other? It's really a function of the firm and what your resources are and what your goals and objectives are. I think it's easiest to explain this in terms of the collaborative one. You're going to see in 2 weeks, we're going to get to co-creation of value. And co-creation of value sounds a lot like the collaborative quadrant. But the two that make the most sense really is collaborative and adaptive. Cosmetic isn't necessarily really mass customization. I mean, that's just a little product wrinkle. It's not that big of a deal. How do sports teams effectively use mass communication? You mean mass customization? Mass communication, they do advertising. Mass customization, I have no idea. I really don't. Sports teams. If anything, maybe we can say that the sports teams, if we look at, I'm pulling this one out of my butt right here. If you look at the luxury boxes, it's basically the same luxury box, but you have the ability to tailor it a little bit towards your event or towards your whatever. So maybe this is more of an adaptive kind of scenario when there's a menu and maybe you want like have a Mexican theme, food-wise, or you want to have a bar food type theme food-wise. Maybe more adaptive, but I don't know how a sports team would really. I really don't. This is more of a manufacturing operations kind of a thing. Can you explain what change is actually taking place in transparent? I'm with you. I don't think there's any change taking place in transparent. It makes no sense. How does adaptive customization have no change in the chart on page 95 when it changes based on occasion? On occasion. Well, it's more change on whether there's a representation, There's no change in the product. There's no change in the representation. This is sort of like off-the-shelf customization. Like, here's your phone. Here's the case. Here's the phone. you buy this is off the shelf, but it's not like they automatically said this automatically goes with this. This is kind of that adaptive customization. Giving people, and usually adaptive customization happens in the aftermarket, after sales. Something along those lines. It can happen in before sales. I mean, if you, I know they don't sell them anymore. Let's not talk about the MyBox. But if you go buy a Rolls Royce, I'm sure all of you have some pocket change laying around, and you want to go buy a Rolls Royce, you actually have to pay in advance, and you decide, from 15 different leathers and what kind of color curtains you want, and the, wine cooler. You customize the Rolls Royce based on umpteen million permutations. That's kind of an adaptive customization scenario. Which type of customization strategy is most popular today? Adaptive is most popular today. Does that answer vary across many industries, different industries? No, it's just that there are very few collaborative mass customizers out there. And usually the best ones are software companies now, or when the product is digital. Then we have more of a collaborative mass customization. Although Nike still has, and you could Google this, the Nike ID, the Nike stores, like the one in Midtown, you can go get Nikes customized. You can get your name put on it. You can change the colors. You order them in advance. You pay. You kind of go through and do something. It's the Nike ID program, and they have certain shoes you can do that with, and you can only do it through a Nike store. But that's kind of a collaborative, but adaptive's most popular. How do companies identify where the sacrifice gaps arise? I don't know, really. I really don't know. It's the sacrifice gaps are a trade-off. So where do I want to trade off? I can't do all possible options because it's too expensive. It's all possible options. It's just too expensive. So you have to make trade-offs. A perfect example is, Microsoft tried to make a tablet and a laptop in the same device. And it's actually my computer at Seton Hall. And it's actually a pretty good laptop, and it's a very terrible tablet. And, Microsoft was okay with that sacrifice gap. That they knew the majority of the people would be using it as a laptop. Every so often, someone would take the top off and use it kind of like a tablet. But the Surface is a terrible tablet. It's a pretty good laptop, though. So at least it does one well. What factors have the greatest influence over which customization approach by a company pursues? It's the goal of your firm, what you want to do. I mean, Dell, back in the day, was a very, very, very good collaborative mass customizer. They were the best. I would talk about Dell in class the way I talk about Apple now. They were amazing. They had great salespeople that you would call on the phone. They had a great experience there. You would have your computer in 3 to 5 days from the time you ordered it. And then their after-sales service, and they had an incredible in Round Rock, Texas, unbelievable after-sales service center for troubleshooting. To the level of what the Apple has in the Genius Bar right now, which is where Apple actually got that idea from. They got it from Dell. But Dell, to make a long story short, they kept getting unmarket oriented, and they kept trying to find out ways to make the balance sheet look better. And they kept cutting corners, and they kept cutting corners, and they kept cutting corners. And one of the big corners that they cut to make the balance sheet look better is they outsourced the entire after-sales service and the sales center overseas. And they didn't train people well over there. And this was early in the outsourcing, and it wasn't really, customers didn't take to it well, and it was bad all the way around. Would you consider Nike a mover in online retail when it became a mass customizer through Nike ID? Yes. They have first mover advantage in shoes. Would you consider this tactic cosmetic or collaborative? It's certainly not. I think it's more collaborative, to be honest with you. Because in bottled water, the inside stays the same and just the label changes. But with the Nike ID, you're changing colors, you're changing styles, and you're changing a lot more. I think there's too much change for it to be considered cosmetic. When everybody gets a chance, check out Nike ID. Google this. Check it out. It's a pretty good article. I really wanted to introduce this topic to you guys because, if you look at the language here, you need learning organization, you need the CRM, you need the bottom up, and you could see how well this fits in a Web 2.0 bottom up world. And you could see how well this would fit in a world where lots and lots of products are being digital. The more digital the product, the easier it is to customize from the operations manufacturing perspective. So I always like to have the other side of the coin as well. And you notice this was a 2001 article. This was towards the tail end of this mass customization trend, 2001. After the bubble burst in 2001, and then we had 9/11, and then we had the Gulf War, and we had that recession. Prior to Web 2.0, this stuff cooled off for a while. You'll have a hard time finding good mass customization articles between 2001 and 2004-05. And then what happened is all the language of mass customization comes back as co-creation of value in the mid-2000s and the late 2000s. And it fits really well in the Web 2.0 world. But this is a good article. And you notice again that this Paul guy he's a professor at Duke, but he's an operations guy as well. Now that we have a proliferation of web tools and CRM, and elicitation is elicitation really an issue anymore? For certain industries, maybe. Similarly, now that we're beginning to see 3D printing come to life, is flexible products going to be less of an issue too? Yes, and yes. God, I even forgot about the 3D printing thing. Talk about mass customization on a 1-to-1 scale. Oh my God. You can have that 3D printer in your garage. And you could download an app, and if you want light switches in your house and you want them all to be customized, and you download a $2.99 template, and you print all the custom light switches all over your house. I mean, that's the world that we're moving into. This mass customization thing is coming back. Elicitation is a lot easier. I mean, think about what Amazon does. I mean, Amazon really does elicitation, right? Do they not make incredible recommendations for us? This article notes that configurable products are an alternative to mass customization. And Dell actually was configuring products. Okay, they would have a laptop body, and you'd be able to change hard drive sizes. You'd be able to change the motherboard with the different chips. You'd be able to change certain things. Not a lot of things, but it was configurable. There were, for each laptop, there's probably 14 or 15 different possible options. But it's still configurable. Is still a type of mass customization because they configured my Dell specifically for me when I ordered it. Wouldn't the authors of the previous article argue that configurable products are mass customization? Yeah. Now, I don't know if this is an adaptive. I think the biggest way to just think about the difference between the adaptive category and the collaborative category is the collaborative tends to happen at sale or before sale for final product, and adaptive tends to happen more after sales, like aftermarket kind of product. Scion is a great example, and those wonderful things that we do at Home Depot with, go to the Container Store. The Container Store is adaptive everything, really, if you think about it. What are your questions with regard to whether or not mass customization is the best way to deliver a variety to your products? this is a biased opinion. I'm a huge fan of this stuff. I can't let it go. Even though this topic disappeared from the literature for a good 6, 8, almost 10 years, I can't let it go. And to me, it was reborn in the bottom-up Web 2.0 co-creation of value world. You know, to me, I see, when we talk about co-creation of value, I see mass customization. You know, I would prefer, and I would pay more. I'm a runner. I like to run. I'm not a good one, but I like to run. And my feet are different sizes. They are. I know. Runners are fanatical about their shoes. Guess what? I'd rather be wearing size Dano. Why can't I order Dr. Dano size shoes? Why can't I go to a New Balance store and have them 3D digitize my feet? You know, do like a scanner. So they do the scan of my feet, and then really they know what the inside of the shoe should look like. I'm not getting size 8.5. I'm getting size Dano. Okay? You know, where my toes are, where this is, where that is, the whole deal. And then I'm just picking colors and everything else after that. I mean, would I not rather go to the New Balance website and order my sneakers all the time and have a CRM kind of relationship with New Balance and have size Dano? Man, I would love that. God, I wish they would do that for me. Wouldn't cars fall under mass customization and be considered an example of a successful instance? No, I don't know. You know, I don't know if cars are a great example. Cars are more adaptive, not. What's my other category again? Collaborative. Although you're going to read the article that I wrote with Locander in 3 weeks, 2 weeks, and I actually talk about Volvo and how they did a collaborative mass customization with their audience. So, it's the exception and not the rule. Cars are better adaptive mass customizers, not collaborative mass customizers. Besides mass customization, what are the other ways to deliver variety? You just, instead of mass production, you just make a lot of different variations. In Japan does mass customization, but they do mass production, but in very small batches. Like Sony, for instance, back in the day, when they would make a Walkman, but they would make very, very few models, very, very few numbers of it. You know, so they would rather put some out into the marketplace, see how it goes before they make 10 million units of it. They'd rather have 200,000 units of it out there before they can tweak and make the next version. They were very good at that. That's sort of mass production on a small scale. You know, in what instance would you, Michael, use mass communication? I mean, mass customization? I think we already beat that over the head a bit. Leaving customer uncertainty out of the equation, isn't elicitation difficult enough for firms to conduct due to the complexity around generating the proper questions and processes to extract it? No. I don't think elicitation is 1/10 the problem that it was when they wrote this article in 2001. I really don't. Not only is the CRM software and philosophy better, not only do we have the culture that consumers are better in a bottom-up world of talking to corporations, now we have algorithms, and we have very, very powerful algorithms. eBay has one, Netflix has one, Target has one. I mean, they have, with big data and large sample sizes, they've been playing around with this stuff for a while, and it's not, when we talked about mass customization and it being difficult in these articles, this is only the operations people talking to the operations people. They were in a silo. But now when you have the math, the quants, and they're involved with this, wow. Would you say that automobiles are products that command the greatest level of customization for customers? No. Automobiles actually do not have there are customization issues, but no. There's other products that are and other categories that are, computers are even more. Considering all the variable product features and extensions available today for automobiles and the importance of play for life today, it seems like this product is the one that consumers care deeply about having tailor-made to their needs. You know, there was a time period when this was happening in the 90s that Toyota started operating that very, very efficient plant in somewhere in Kentucky or Tennessee, like in the middle of the country, right? It's where they still make Camrys to this day. And they were talking about making a 5-day Camry where you went into the Toyota dealership on Monday, you picked out your specs, you ordered your car. It only takes 18 hours to make a Camry. So between Monday, Tuesday, your car would be built. Wednesday, Thursday, it would ship anywhere in the country because it doesn't take on train from their manufacturer. They could get anywhere in the country pretty much in 2 days from the middle of the country. And Friday, your car would be delivered. And they talked about that in the business press. And we had a big recession in the middle of the 90s there, and that kind of killed that. But they were thinking about it. This article is a bit dated. Yes, it is. I apologize. Can we assume that RFID tags and other technologies making logistics much easier today? You bet they are. I mean, you guys have RFID tags in your clothing. You guys keep cutting them out. You know, you have those things, and then you see the little thing, and I got to cut them out. That's an RFID tag. Now, we thought in the late 90s and the early 2000s that RFID tags were going to replace, what are those things called? On products, UPC, Universal Product Codes. Because RFID tags carries a lot more data, and it doesn't have to be held up to the scanner. You can just walk through, and you know it can get picked up by a scanner. You don't have to hold it up to anything. It's faster. It almost seems like, you know, another time that the recession kind of in the 90s kind of hit this, and it limited how far it would go. But we got to the situation now where we now have GPS, you know, which is even better than RFID. So every container that you see, you know, you'll see a ship. I just went to Panama, so I saw a lot of ships. I was actually in the canal. Every one of those 20 by 10 by 10 by 40 containers has its own GPS locator. You know. I don't know. I don't think it's a deterrent, though. Can you explain the difference between mass customization and configurable products with a little bit more depth? Adaptive. Think about it in the first article. I would say this is more adaptive and this is more collaborative. You know? Mass customization truly is, in the second article, you know, creating units of one. Where configurable has some kind of a base product that you can change 4 or 5 different things on it. But, you know, adaptive versus collaborative. What are some ways that are not mass custom? What are some products that are not mass customable right now that you think will become mass customized products in the near future? Well, there's a lot that I wish. I told you that my running sneakers really should be mass customized. I mean, my running sneakers really should. I think clothing has a better chance of becoming more mass customized. You know, it's intrusive, and there's been some challenges in the past, but there's no reason why I cannot get clothing that fits me better. You know, there's no reason why. I mean, they have computers and robots making the clothing now. Why not? I mean, I'd rather have size Dano. Dr. Dano needs his own clothing line. I mean, if I could go to Amazon and order my size, like my size, so I would go into a mall, I would go into some like booth, like Amazon store in the mall. Amazon would scan me, and they would have my size. That's it. That's it. Okay. Michael Porter. Yes, we only had 4 articles this week, but maybe this article counts as 3. This was a long article. Michael Porter is not known for being brief. He is the godfather of strategy. The reason why we use some of these terms in strategy and in MBA programs is because of Michael Porter. His 1980 book, Competitive Strategy, was a huge hit, so much so that in 1995 he had the right competitive advantage. And the reason why we use the term competitive advantage is because of him. We are going to read another one of his articles, and it's the one that's referenced on page 66 at the bottom towards the end of the semester. And what I like about this is the article actually talked about there's been 3 waves of IT. I don't remember the first wave, to be honest with you. But the second article that we're going to read towards the end of the semester, he wrote at the end of the 1.0 bubble, the Web 1.0 bubble, basically saying, yo, you guys blew it. So here we are at a midpoint at the Web 2.0 world, and he's giving us another motherlode, or I don't know what you want to call this. I don't know. Huge type article that's 45,000 pages or 45,000 words, and trying to explain the entire world. I think he does somewhat of a good job, even though it's kind of obtuse. He's Porter. I mean, how can you not like Porter? And every time he does one of these articles, he still always goes back to the 1985 article. 1985 book. I mean, if you look at, where are we at? Page, the New Technology Stack. It's actually really good. Where does he do it? On page 72, this is the 5 forces model. Some of your professors probably at Seton Hall probably already gave you the 5 forces model, but where do you think that comes from? That comes from the 1985 book. He can't write an article without having the 5 forces in it. All right, let me answer some questions. With rising barriers to entry, are we beginning to see less competition, fewer competitors in some industries? Yes. It's very common that if there are high barriers to entry, there's less competition. I'd have to agree with you. I don't know how much of a question that really was, but does this article imply that smart products can, in essence, mass customize themselves based on the data about the customer? I'm going to agree with you, but I want you to think about it in a different way. That smart products can mass customize the value that they deliver based on the data that they gather. You know, the value that Nest delivers, you know, more efficient heating, less energy use, is based on, that value is based upon the data from this one individual customer. You know, I can see how you're saying mass customize, because the data becomes, these are segments of one, because the information from this Nest thermostat is only specific to this particular house. So I see how you're saying mass customization, but it's not quite the same thing. I like that you're saying it, though. In the monitoring function of smart connecting products, medical products, do you know if companies need to get consent of their consumers to monitor the data? Well, I just watched the Apple keynote this morning when I was on the treadmill. And their 5 new apps that they have linked with ResearchKit that are open source between the watch and the phone, you have to have consent and the consumers have to opt in. Now, there's 700 million of these devices worldwide. You know, medical studies are used to, you know, small sample sizes. They have 150, 300. I mean, if you see a medical study with 3,000 patients in it, that's like, oh my God. You kidding me? You know how many people are going to opt into these things? There was one article the other day that they already have 10,000 people that opt in. They're collecting data on a daily basis for Parkinson's, I think, or something along that line. You know, unbelievable. Would you suggest that a startup business become established with steady streams of revenue and profit before they engage in smart connected products? Well, what if the smart connected product is their startup business? I mean, Pebble? Go look up Pebble on the internet. Pebble was a Kickstarter. Pebble was the first smart connected watch. Jawbone, Fitbit and Jawbone, this is their business. Nest was born as a company that was a smart connected product. So that's kind of where my head's at there. Do you know of any recent court challenges and outcomes to the data collection and use of companies on customers who purchase smart connected products? No, and no. And the reason why I'm coming out so strongly about this is there might be, but I can't think of one off the top of my head. In the U.S., we got to find a way to opt out. The companies collect our data without most of the time us even knowing about it, and even though we think it's creepy, we really don't think it's that big of a deal. There's no, marches in Washington about this. There's no Occupy New York City about this. We complain about it, but then we still keep using Facebook and everything else that we keep doing. We haven't stopped. Every one of you did a Google search today or yesterday. You care that Google? Who has a Gmail account? Google reads all your email. Come on. What's your favorite examples of smart connected products? My favorite at the moment is my Fitbit. Love this thing. Wonderful. Pretty cool. Like it. I think the best example, though, really is Nest. Nest is just a spectacular product. No wonder Google bought them for $3.2 billion. Tony Fadell, who founded Nest, actually created the iPod for Apple. He was an Apple employee there for a while. Nest, not only do they do the thermostats, they now have fire alarms too that are smart and connected. Pretty cool stuff. Of the three elements of smart connected products, there is only one element that is the most valuable. Of the three elements of smart connected products, is there one element that is most valuable? In today's day and age, I would assume that connectivity is the most important feature in a product, even though all three factors work in a cyclical kind of a way. Well, if you were to ask me, I think learning, the reason why Nest is so powerful is because it learns. It makes adjustments. If you think about Nest, if you think about Fitbit, if you think about these smart connected products, we just had a whole 2 articles talking about mass customization, right? Well, believe it or not, this would be only the software is doing the customization. The hardware is the same. This is almost like a hybrid kind of a mass customization type scenario where the product looks the same, but based on software, delivers different value. I think that's, pretty neat. Are there instances of a product firm developing a product meant to address a particular need that ends up being completely used by and managed by other consumers? I can't think of an example within smart connected products. There's not that many of them out there. And usually, the software and the value delivery is very tightly connected to what the product actually does. There's all kinds of scenarios in consumer products. If you want to dye your hair pretty cool colors, well, you go get Hawaiian Punch. Hawaiian Punch is really good hair dye. And the other cool thing about it is it washes out. It's not permanent. So, does Hawaiian Punch ever talk about their product being hair dye? No. The article mentions new smart products being developed and brought to the market, like the Polo Tech shirt. Pretty cool stuff. The Polo Tech shirt is set to retail for about $240. When you think about more common goods like workout clothing, will it come down in price? Will it take years before the technology gets cheaper and the items like these will become more affordable for the masses? I don't know if it'll take years. I really don't know if it'll take years. But $240 out of the gate is not that bad, considering there's a lot of fashion that is out of the gate and way more money than this. I mean, some of you are wearing shoes right now that are way more than this, and they're not smart or connected. Right? Right? So, we buy, some of us there's probably golfers in class, right? Your golf bag is way more than this. Are you kidding me? What if you're a runner? Well, you have more than, my running shoes are $185 a piece, and they're not smart or connected. I mean, what's another $100 at that point? Adidas did come out with a smart, what they called it, the Adidas One. They were $250. They were too heavy, unfortunately, because they had too much electronics in the shoe. But the idea was there. It was kind of neat. I don't think we're that far from this. We're starting to see, and there's rumors or companies are doing this where they're having solar panels that your shirt could charge your phone, and you could use the heat from your body to help power things. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I don't know how soon. I don't know how expensive, but it's gonna happen. Is the product of a service model really sustainable in some industries? Yeah. The article mentions Whirlpool potentially maintaining ownership of its appliance and charging the consumer for the use of the machine. I don't know about that, but this article the next article talked about GE and how GE sells the engines, but the data and the sensors from the GE engines really provides all the value after sales service. But I'm going to give you another product of a service model that is happening at the moment and nobody's talking about yet. Nike's biggest competitor is Under Armour. Under Armour is doing really, really, really well. Well, in the past 6 months, Under Armour has spent $550 million to buy two of the largest app companies that do like virtual trainers, like a virtual trainer. So think about it this way. You go to Sports Authority, or you go to Dick's, or you go to Modell's, and you spend $150 in Under Armour, workout gear. And you're like, yeah. So now you're wearing your Under Armour workout gear, and you download the Under Armour Super Trainer thing, and you get like 10 hours of free advice. Then after that, it's like $10 per month for the year for you to have your Under Armour trainer stay in touch with you. That's happening. All those balls are rolling. Nike did some of that as well, but Under Armour's being much more aggressive with that. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Okay. Last one. Same topic. Digital ubiquity. What's interesting is this one talked more about consumer products, and this one was a bit more about industrial products. More about GE, more about Whirlpool. GE needed to reorganize its engineering department to effect change. The software people were not market oriented enough. Are older companies now set in their ways at a major disadvantage? It depends on the company. I mean, IBM's doing really well. Microsoft's making major changes right now. GE is making major changes right now. But if you look at HP is well behind the curve here. And they shouldn't be behind the curve with their services. They bought a $13 billion consulting firm 2 years ago, and they overpaid by double. And they still are not leading the way here. Where you have Adobe, Oracle, and IBM really kicking some butt in this software as a service kind of stuff. Should have been HP. It depends on the firm. Really, it does. I mean, IBM made a monster turnaround in the 90s, and they've been still riding that wave since. They're doing really, really, really well. And they are as old you can get in tech. They're one of the originals. And HP is also one of the originals, and they're struggling in a major way. Are these companies of mass customizing collaboration? For example, GE working with Aeon to develop the turbine technology with more again, we're walking that. It's more like talking about mass customization from the from a philosophical standpoint. It's hard to talk about either GE and the aircraft engine examples from this article, or what Nest does in one of these two articles, in either that adaptive or collaborative thing, because the product is still the same. The engine that they put on all these things, it's still the same engine. It's just how it's tuned and how it gets worked on as a function of the sensors. What Nest does is a function of the sensors. The data stream provides the tweaking based on the route, based on yada, 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 yada. So it's like philosophically like mass customization. It's philosophically like a collaboration kind of deal. But the product stays the same. It's the software that we change things. What are predictivity solutions? If I'm reading correctly, they are predicting methods using data correctly to affect efficiency. I'm agreeing with you. This is how Amazon and Target determines how to send ads to specific people. Absolutely, positively. We call this as recommendation engines. That's the terminology we've been using this semester. What are GE's contracted service agreements? GE has a bazillion contract. You buy a GE refrigerator, you want 5 years of service to make sure there's no problems, you buy an agreement. That's what they're talking about here. GE doesn't want you to just buy the product, they also want you to buy a service plan with the product. That's all. Very straightforward. How can GE better sustain their transformation moving forward? GE tends to be a market-oriented firm. You think of some of their divisions. Their locomotives divisions, their airplane engine divisions. They have some very, very awesome divisions. Okay, but it's a very big company. You only get so much growth when you're already a $60 billion firm, and you grow at 5% a year. That's not that much big of a number when you're already $160 billion. Is ubiquity applicable in all business industries? Probably not. I would not say it's applicable. It's only in a situation where we can adapt. And in some situations, especially when everything's all mechanical, then guess what? By the way, something I've been forgetting, that I had this page up, and I like this idea of smart connected products. Here are some that are right out of the box. Right out of the box, right out of the box, right out of the box. You guys, there was a question about what are some of my favorite ones. But here's some other things that we're taking the non-digital to digital. You can buy one of these things, and let's pretend you make this, call it light switch bedroom, and you plug it in, and then you can control it with your phone now. It's making a analog product digital through one of these kind of connectors. It's kind of neat. One of my other favorite products. Oh gosh, I thought I had it here already. Let me see if I can do a quick search. Philips lighting, iPhone. So Philips has these unbelievable, really cool, you basically have these light bulbs with these hues, and you could put either one light bulb or 3 light bulbs. And between an iPad or an iPhone app, you can have like 250 million different colors in your room. Some ridiculous number like that. And you don't say, I want my room to be red. You can say, I want my room to be jungle. And not only does it become jungle-like, it actually shifts in colors and little bits here and there, so it's kind of moving. The kids in dorms right now are having a blast with this. They go out and they get some Christmas money or something like that, and it's one of the things that makes their dorm room kind of customizable. Isn't that kind of neat? It's kind of neat. Philips. There's a lot of these smart light bulbs out there that you control through an app. I kind of like that. It's kind of neat. Has GE experienced first mover advantage with an industrial internet? It's too hard to say. I don't think they're getting massive advantage here. First of all, they're not the first mover. There's other companies that were ahead of them before. I mean, Oracle was ahead of them. SAP was ahead of them. Adobe is ahead of them. IBM's ahead of them. It's good that they're moving, though. The company has been able to use technology and digital advancements to improve products and services across multiple industries. Will these companies experience any sort of advantage by being one of the first firms to execute this type of product move? They will get advantages. It's good that GE, which has a very large customer base, can use some of these, but they're not first. They're not first. There are other companies that are doing this as well. All right. Before we finish up, one last thing that I want to do, and I'm not going to do the whole thing for you guys. When you get a chance, go check this out. Go to apple.com, and it says experience the keynote. Apple does these very huge dog and pony shows. They do 2 or 3 a year, and they're kind of neat. They tell you about all their new products and all like that. But what I want you to do is fast forward to somewhere around, hold on, around the 70th minute. Yeah, this is it. His name is Kevin Lynch. And watch him do the demo for the Apple Watch here. Hold on.
But that is really.
Hold on. Load. Come on, buddy.
I can see that, so when I get home, I will remember to pack the right thing. It's great to use Siri to make yourself remember things throughout the day like that. I see I've got a message coming in. I get messages with a variety of apps. This one is from WeChat.
So this is a smart connected product type scenario.
It looks like he's picked a place, Fig and Olive. I can reply just by tapping on a button on the notification. It opens the WeChat app on my watch. And there's the thread. I can reply with a text message. Or WeChat has these great stickers.
So this is around the 70th minute over here. You see that?
Bunch of collections here. I like these. They're called Chewy Hams. And
what's this say?
They're pretty cool. It's very emotive, as you can see.
I want to show you the example that he did with his daughter. And hopefully I can find it real quick. It's not loading very fast. Come on. Hold on. I'm going to hit pause for a second. I'm going to find it, and then I'm going to bring it back on. Hold on.
Bow wow meow. Now I can answer this on my watch, or I can send a message and reply. Or
all right, class, check this out for a second.
I'm going to answer right on my Apple Watch. Hi, this is Kevin.
Hi, Kevin. This is Vera calling from Bow Wow Meow. Your dog Finnegan is ready to be picked up.
Okay, great. I'll be right over as soon as the event is done, okay?
Okay, see you soon.
Okay,
Bye.
thank you. Bye. Really easy to take those calls wherever you are. And the great thing is that Apple Watch communicates with your iPhone over Wi-Fi as well as Bluetooth. So when you're home, you don't have to be within Bluetooth range of your phone. You can be anywhere in your house and still get all your messages and take your phone calls just like that. Super cool. Now, if I was going to go to the airport, I might want to call a car.
Oh, this is.
Let's look at doing that with Uber. So I just press the crown to go to my home screen. And over here,
All right, hold on one second. Let me find it.
and it will
I'm
show
gonna
me
pause
I've got
again.
a car within 2 minutes from
Here it is, class.
Maddie, saying that she's forgot her key and can't get in the house.
78th
now, I
minute.
can actually take care of this from my watch, so I'm going to reply and say it's going to be okay. I'll use dictation to do that. It's okay. I'll open the garage door for you. I can send that back to Maddie. Now I can send that as an audio of my voice actually speaking, or I can send it back as the text. I'll send the text. So that's gone off to Maddie now. And now I can actually control the garage door remotely with my watch. I've got this great app from alarm.com, and my garage door is hooked up there. You can see I've got my information about my house. The locks are locked. The garage door is closed right now. If I'd like to change this, I can just tap on the garage area here. And I have a camera as well pointed at the garage door. And I'm seeing a live feed of the garage door here right now with an open button. So let's open the door for Maddie. So open the door. It's going to send the command to my garage door, and it should open. There it goes. Live feed. It looks like Maddie has a friend with her right now, and she's able to get inside. That's great.
So, class, I don't think there was a better way to end this session than to show you exactly what we're talking about with smart connected products. Although Apple is talking about this here, within a 6 to 9 month window, this is going to be extremely common across multiple types of platforms and products. Okay, you have any questions? You let me know. I'll try to be helpful. Thanks.